Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Crossfire. In case you're watching us for the very first time, remember that Crossfire comes your way every Monday at 20 hours, and we feature a number of we do discuss a number of very important topics and, of course, conversations surrounding governance, surrounding politics. So this is your number one governance and political program right here on S24. Tonight, we are discussing the state of the nation, and my guest tonight is the New Heritage Party President, Madam Chalakateka, and we'll be discussing a number of issues. Of course, some of you may be aware that a number of political parties today, 7 to be precise, did come together and had a press briefing earlier where a number of issues were brought out. And of course, we will be discussing some of those very important points that were brought out, and basically just get to understand where we are at as a country when it comes to the eyes of the opposition. So welcome once again, and of course later on in the program you will be able to call us in and give us your contributions, of course letting us know where you're watching us from as well, and any questions that you may have for our guests tonight. So welcome once again and thank you for joining us. Madam, good evening and thank you for coming through.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well. Welcome back to Crossfire.
Thank you.
Last time we had you, I think you had just been appointed President of the Heritage Party. Good to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, let's get right into it. Of course, a number of things happened today, and of course, for some of us that have been covering current affairs, it was very exciting to see all 7 opposition political parties, or most of them actually come together in one place to discuss some of these very important matters. But before we get into that, I would love to get your description of the current state of affairs in the country.
A little bit concerning, a little bit disappointing. I don't know if I should say a little bit. I think it's been quite disappointing. What we expected, even as opposition members, expected much more than what we are seeing. I'm very sure that, as most Zambians were, come August the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, everybody was excited with the outcome of the election. And expectation was extremely high by members of the public, even the opposition. We thought, you know what, we're now going to start seeing things moving in the way, because it presents an opportunity for you. Every 5 years, we are presented with an opportunity to start afresh. Well, not start afresh, but really begin to move in the right direction. And we thought, this is it. And maybe because we are opposition, we see more than what most people see. But I think that what we are actually seeing and what we thought we would see are two different things.
All right.
Yeah.
I would love to delve more into that. Before I do that, I mean, the briefing today, was it a formation of a possible opposition alliance? We're yet to see. What really, how can we describe that?
I wouldn't say it's an opposition alliance. We got together because there are certain pressing national things of national importance, issues of national importance that are common to all of us, which are a concern to all of us. And as you have seen, every time something happens, the government makes a pronouncement, or the government makes a decision or takes a certain direction, then you have, look, in the last election, there were 16 political parties. So you have 15 making comments, even those who didn't stand, making comments on the same issues, and we thought, you know what, this is not really flying. So why don't we get together? Because every week we are issuing a statement or another. I mean, it's like that's what we are only doing when in fact we should even go beyond what we are doing at the moment. But there are so many issues to discuss, so many issues to comment on, that so that's what it is.
No.
So just so that I finish that sentence, is I stated that this is not a political alliance in the sense that we are going to get together, field one candidate, etc., etc. However, going forward, when there are issues of national importance, we will be getting together and to make our voices heard.
Just to make it stronger.
Yes.
All right, very interesting. A lot of things have been said when it comes to the current crop of opposition political parties that we have in the country. Among them claiming that, you know, from some stakeholders, that we do not have a very strong opposition. What's your take on that?
At the moment, you know, there are so many opposition parties, and maybe what they mean is that they have yet to see one that emerges clearly head and shoulders above the rest. But you do have opposition. We are in opposition. We're giving the required checks and balances. So are we not strong? I wouldn't say we are weak. All right? It's just I think that there are so many of us. But I think as we are going towards 2026, we'll see what happens.
Does that make it hard then for parties to stand out as, you know, one of the strongest or one of the biggest when they begin to speak? I mean, you have mentioned something very cardinal, the fact that we have a number of opposition political parties in the country. Does that make it difficult then to have one or two outstanding ones?
Look, this is 5 months after the elections. I think we've got some really good candidates in the opposition. But I think people are still checking us out and trying to decide of these, who should we take seriously? You know, who should we consider as, you know, the major political party or parties? Because it may not be one, it may be 2 or 3 that will emerge as a strong opposition.
All right, very, very interesting. Then, in case you're just joining us, you are watching Crossfire with me, Gloria Mbakalambo. I have with me in studio tonight, Madam Tishala Kateka. We're discussing the state of, you know, the nation. Of course, basing this on the media briefing, or the joint media briefing that 7 opposition political parties had earlier today. And of course, we'll be talking about that and more. So later on in the program, feel free to actually, of course, stay glued. You will be able to give us a call and let us know where you're watching us from. And of course, give us your views, your comments, and any questions that you may have as regards tonight's topic of discussion. And of course, in relation to Madam Kateka and the New Heritage Party. Now, as we still speak on the opposition, just dwelling more on that, do you think that as the Heritage Party, the New Heritage Party, you have positioned yourselves in such a manner that Zambians can look at you and say, look, we have somebody, we have somewhere we can, a voice to speak on our behalf?
I think that we've been given checks and balances. We've been given very objective ones. We don't attack all the time. So where the party, you know, the party in government does well, we do commend, and where they don't do well, we do, you know, give those checks and balances. The New Heritage Party, we are still in the process of positioning ourselves. Right now, we are in the process of strategizing for the 2026 general election. So, you know, we can run around and make noise, but that's all it will be. But if we plan, we do what we need to do, then we will make more mileage when we begin to do a lot of work on the ground.
All right, now, just on the issue of planning, let me take you back to 2021 election. How was your experience in that? Your first time contesting, only woman standing on the ballot. How was that?
I think it was good experience. It was very good experience. It was very tiring. We went everywhere. We sold our message, and we were told, look, this message that you have is the one. However, you've come late because now we've decided we really need change. So we've decided on these ones who have been around for a long time.
And the voters told you that?
Yeah. They would say that. They would say that, including some of people that we really know. They just said we need to change, and these guys are they've been positioned because they've been around for a long time. So let's get them out of the way. Get this out of the way. Then we can start looking at other issues.
All right. Let's now get back to the briefing. There's one term that was quite outstanding for me, selective application of justice, that came out of the briefing. I would love to understand, really, what examples can you give as regards, the selective application of justice when it comes to the New Dawn administration in their 5 months of being in power?
Okay, so I think that we did present the fact that there are a number of cases that are coming up. There are a number of things happening, both by people outside of government and both by people inside of government, currently in this particular government. So, and we noticed that the Inspector General of Police, when it comes to UPND members, tends to be lenient, whereas when it comes to other people, they become unduly harsh. So if you're a UPND member or a UPND sympathizer, then they tend to be more lenient. So one case in point is Mr. Raphael Nakachinda's case. That's the example we were giving. Rightly or wrongly, he made a statement, okay, and for allegedly threatening violence while on the campaign trail in Kabwata. He made this statement, and you saw how they came down on him. Now, on the other side, you have seen the youth, is it the National Youth Chairman of...
Gilbert Liswaniso.
Liswaniso made a statement that was quite inflammatory. And as a matter of fact, we saw the outcome of that in Kasama, of that sort of statement. And if you follow Facebook, there's a gentleman called Castro who's like, I don't know whether he's the number 2 or whatever to Liswaniso, whether he's the vice chairman, and he says, oh, I support him, and his words are mine. He's saying the same things. Now, these are people, if somebody is threatening violence and they were PF at this time, what do you think would happen to them? They certainly wouldn't be going off scot-free the way these guys have. In fact, even William Banda, that old man, William Banda, he made a statement as well, which was inflammatory and threatening violence, but they don't do anything to these people. But what makes it even worse is the fact that even their leaders will not censure them. They will not say anything. They just keep quiet and watch these people do these things. The police will decide to look the other way. So last week, when we were filing in for Kabwata constituency, our member of parliament, our candidate for Kabwata constituency, the UPND almost lynched our party members, and the police were there.
Is it?
Yes, they almost lynched them. Why? Because they were blocking them, and they said, no, we have to go first before you, that sort of thing. But the police will not do anything because it's them. But if it was anyone else, they would do something about that, and that's what we are talking about. We also mentioned the fact of Mr. Henry Imbua Mwalie, and now this guy, he was the Western Province Deputy Permanent Secretary for breach of public financial regulations. He was fired as a result of that. Because of an audit that was undertaken, he fraudulently signed for a huge allocation of public funds to his advantage. No criminal charges there against him. But on the other hand, the former Secretary to the Treasury, Mr. Fredson Yamba, was quickly arrested for the same offense. And this is what we are talking about. We must we must not be selective when we are doing these things. If you are guilty of an offense and I'm guilty of the same offense, you need to treat us the same. Don't be selective, and that's what we are saying.
All right. So do you think that suspected in that regard, I mean, there's a very thin line as to how people can take that very statement that you brought out during the briefing, selective application of justice. Well and good, you've explained it. But do you think that PF leaders, former office bearers, and in the previous administration who are suspected to have, been involved in corrupt activities and so on and so forth, should be investigated in this regard? Because, I mean, there's been a lot of talk of them being over witch hands.
Okay. There's a difference. What I've explained and what you are talking about are two different things.
Exactly.
No one is saying that the former PF people should not be. Look, who was applauding the PF people? No one was applauding them. That's why they were removed. So let's not keep defaulting and say, oh yeah, but the PF people did this and they got away with they got away with it because they were in power. But that does not mean that now we must condone the same behavior. Do you see what I mean? We must not condone the same behavior. That's why we voted them out. So it doesn't mean that because they did it, now we should do the same in this dispensation. Things have changed. People wanted change, and we want to see that change. And that's why we are holding the UPND to account, because they said we are coming to do things differently. You get the point? Yes. So
in doing things differently, you brought out a number of issues earlier. One of them being, the Kasama situation that we did see. Would you say then that with the fight against, cadreism and the kind that the president is very loud about, is he doing a good job on it? What's your take on that? How do you think they're handling that?
Two issues here. Okay, there's the cadreism, and then there's the police. I want to bring out. Where do I start? Let me start with the cadreism, since that's what but remind me to go to the police after that. The issue here is that here's a party that was there from 2000 no, it was formed in 1998, but this current president took over, I think it's 2006 or 7, somewhere there. And all along, they've had cadres, okay? They've had cadres supporting them and helping them, etc., etc. And these cadres, you see, the way politics works is they expect a reward for the work, especially when they've been in opposition for such a long time. They expect some form of reward. Now, in 2020, towards the 2021 general elections, Zambians said, you know what, we do not want cadres. We do not. If you will notice, the only time the UPND started to talk about not having cadres was in 2021. It wasn't the case before that. They never said, oh, we'll never have cadres. But this time, because they knew that's what the Zambian people did not want, they decided to sing that song. So they have found it difficult to walk the talk, because all along, that's who they've been, a party with cadres, and violent ones at that. Now, the president may speak very strongly about, we don't want cadres, we don't, I don't want to have any cadres, no cadres in markets, etc., etc. How do we judge him? We do see these cadres. We know that they are there, even in the markets, except that they don't wear their regalia. They've been told, don't wear your regalia, because people will then know. But the bus drivers, minibus drivers, marketeers, they will tell you those people are there full force collecting whatever they need to collect. Has the president done a good job? Yes, he has said a lot, a lot, and said, no, we don't want cadres, etc., etc. We judge him based on statements of his leadership, like Liswaniso. and Castro and William Banda and whosoever, Mwaliteta. You see, can the president say, I don't want this, and then the rest of you are saying, this is what we are going to do? That's going against what your president is saying, which raises two issues of concern. Either his members are not listening to him.
Exactly. That's
a worrying part. Either they are not listening to him, they hear him, but they don't care, and they do whatever they want to do. Or number two, you know, this one indicates that he's lost control of his party. Or number two, then he's just paying lip service to us, but then what happens in the background is something else. I'm not sure which one it is. But all we see is that cadreism has continued, as happened in Kasama. In fact, it's not just Kasama. They keep locking up DCs. They lock them out. They, you know, in Zambezi, they locked up the DC's office. Somewhere else, I think it was Choma or something like that, Kabwe, they did the, you know, they're everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And your relation to that when it comes to the police, you wanted to comment on the police?
We have a police service that has been conditioned to operate in a certain way over the years, and I'm not saying it's the fault of the PF, because it happened in MMD, and it happened in the Kaunda days, where the police will toe the party line, the party of the day, whatever it is, you know. So look at what happened in Kasama. These boys went and beat up that woman. Why didn't the police pounce on them the same day, the very same day? Kasama is not a big town, so everybody knew who these boys were. So why did it take the president to come back from Dubai and then issue a statement like, oh, go and get them? Is that how we're supposed to operate? Why can the police not be professional in what they do?
So is it the lack of proactiveness on the part of the police?
It's a conditioning. If you look back, even in the PF days, when the cadres did something, they would look the other way. Even now, when the cadres do something, they look the other way, because they know these guys are protected by higher officers. Yeah.
So despite the head of state saying, look, you have the power to go and prosecute wherever you see misconduct and whatever, go ahead and act, they still do not act because they're conditioned in a type of way, is what you're saying.
It took the president to say, go and get these guys, and then the police IG only issues a statement thereafter. What does that tell us? There's a problem. Maybe we need to retrain the police. I don't know. Maybe we need to get a new crop of police. I don't know. But the current crop of policemen are, they need to be, you know, like if you do an experiment, you put a flea in a glass jar, you know, upside down. It will jump up to the glass, you know.
It has a limitation.
Yeah. And then after it becomes conditioned, and that's how high it can jump. So even when you remove it, it won't be jumping up the way it would. It would just be jumping up to that level. And I think our police have become conditioned to our really putting them down sort of thing. So, you know, you have to bear with the police, yeah.
All right, very interesting point right there. You're watching Crossfire, and of course, the conversation is surrounding the state of the nation, riding on the media briefing that the 7 political, or rather opposition political parties had earlier today. So, of course, we take a break right now. On the other side, the conversation continues, and the phone lines will be open. You'll be able to interact with us and let us know where you're watching us from and what some of your comments might be on tonight's topic of discussion. Keep watching. Welcome back, and of course you're watching Crossfire. In case you're just joining us, we come your way every Monday at 20 hours discussing a number of issues that are affecting you, our viewers, and our country at large. So tonight we discuss the state of the nation. My guest tonight is Madam Chala Kateka, who happens to be the New Heritage Party president. So we have already touched on a number of issues, that are of national interest, and of course we continue to do so. But remember that, of course, this time the numbers are actually on your screen. So in case you want to join the conversation, feel free to do so. Give us a call. The number is on your screen, and let's get interactive in that regard. All right, ma'am, let's continue the conversation. You were very passionate about the president still staying at Community House. Brief us more on that.
Well, we call that, it's like personalizing the presidency. Okay? The presidency is a most serious office, or offices, set of offices. The presidency is not a person. The presidency is an institution, a Zambian institution, which we hold in very high esteem. So when a person is put into that office, they follow the rules and regulations or the norm of what a president does. Now, when you start to treat the presidency like it's a personal thing, you are sort of like disregarding that office. Now, the presidency has certain, how would I call it, benefits attached to it. I don't know whether I would call them benefits, but these are the conditions that are attached to the presidency. They will give you a vehicle, they'll give you vehicles, they'll give you certain offices around you. By offices, I mean individuals who hold certain offices around you. They give you accommodation as befits a head of state. And there's a reason. There must be a very good, it's like going back to the discussion about, oh, I'll be using my personal car. Oh, no, I don't want to use the Challenger. You know, you don't just go in there and start choosing and saying, I'll be doing this and I'll be doing that. It's an office. Let's respect the office. That's what we are saying. You are a servant of the people. And as a servant of the people, we've given you a servant's quarters. Please stay in the servant's quarters. That's all we are saying. Yeah.
How is that,
security-wise, you've got to consider...
What's the challenge there?
Yes, you've got to consider the security. Every day, the president has got to come from Community House, go to State House and work. Of course, anything can happen, even if he was just staying at State House, but you reduce the risk. We are always talking about risk. You reduce the risk regarding the security of the president. Every day, when he's in country, he will move from home, go to State House, maybe lunchtime, I don't know whether he goes back, and then in the evenings he goes back home. Do you see what I mean? People know the route. That's a lack of security. Number two, then you are holding meetings in a private home. Number three, State House itself has got certain security features which you will not find elsewhere. Now, if they have to go and put that security at his house, we are paying extra costs of putting security there when there's already security here. And then also, every day, police have to line up because the president is passing. And then also, you are inconveniencing people every day on the roads. Why don't you just stay at State House?
I mean, he mentioned that it's the vice president actually saying it's being renovated to actually suit his desires, if lack of a better term. Isn't that reason enough for him to hang around?
How long does it take if you are really serious about what you're doing? Somebody says, oh, it's too dirty, it's not the standard of the president, etc. How long does it take? If you are really serious about this issue, how long does it take to renovate that?
So you don't think he's taking it as serious as it should?
Give us a roadmap, at the very least. Give us a roadmap.
Very interesting. All right, the number is on your screen. Of course, give us a call. Let us know where you're calling us from. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire. All right, we seem to have lost that particular one. Please do call us back in and let us know where you're watching us from and what your name is. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Where are you watching us from and what your name is, sir?
My name is Peter.
Yes, Peter. Where are you watching us from?
I'm watching you from Dola.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead with your comment or contribution.
Okay, thank you so much. I've followed the program very well. Good evening, Madam President.
Good evening, Peter. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with some of the words the Madam has talked about. When people lined up on the 11th of August to remove PF from government, they removed PF because they were tired of Qatarism. They were tired of being insulted by Qatar. So, if after the president gave an assurance that the new dawn has brought sanity, then I think the situation which we saw in Kasama, where the district administrative officer was beaten, I think it will be hard for the people of Zambia to renew a contract for the UPNC come 2026. I think the UPNC should stick to what they are telling the people of Zambia. If they have said if they arrest anyone within 24 hours, that person they should be charged or a bond should be given. We want to see that. We want to see an environment where people are free to express themselves. Like today, I was watching some political leaders at the press meeting. Let alone around 17 hours, I'm seeing something integrating on social media that the police have summoned them. What they are trying to say is that they are setting fear in the people who are speaking for the Zambian people. And I want to encourage the Madam there that please don't be shaken. That's the kind of people that we want, people like you. Continue speaking for us, and you will keep on supporting the work that you are doing.
All right,
I
thank
think
you.
that's all I can say for now. And I wish the Madam could share the number there, but I know it's not possible. But I really want to engage there so that some of the things the youth are facing, we can also see how best they can interpret them and how they are going to handle them if we give them the mandate in 2026. If you allow me to give her my number, I can do that.
All right. Thank you so much. Please do get our social media and maybe do so. Thank you very much for coming through, Peter from Ndola. The number is on your screen in case you want to also get in touch with us and give us your thoughts and comment.
Sorry, can I just say, he can actually send me his number on my Facebook page.
On your Facebook page, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So do get through to us. Let us know where you're watching us from, what your name is, and what your contribution, comment may be on tonight's topic of discussion. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire.
Good evening, Madam.
Hello. Okay.
Yes, Sharon.
Please turn off the volume on your television set. We are getting very terrible feedback.
Okay. Maybe this is the volume.
All right. Let us know where you're watching us from and what your name is, sir.
My name is Peter. I'm watching you from my TV.
Okay. Another Peter. From where? Which town on your TV?
From Matero.
Oh, in Lusaka. Thank you so much, Peter. Please go ahead and give us your contribution or comment.
Bashani ma president.
And Fewino Mkwaiba Peter.
Before we know. Our madam also Morera and the church in a Monday.
Thank you.
Amakada zia chupa sana chupa kaidi hapa valera ndasiati tawariko but bash background ipo vali like ku city market kulia so hapa this time so na wengira makadazi but ingawaisa hapa valera ndati takuya makadazi kuteko vale uliam guys kapani nani at mosquito kuta areva wa polisi wa pamatero atchana awe vamayo ndipo afe muvombe wino tukamvota 2026 nyamfa mayo.
Mkwai, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for coming through. Another Peter, all the way right here in Osaka. Actually, thank you so much for coming through. Please be the third caller on the line before we get to, of course, Madam Kateka responding to some of your comments and contributions on tonight's program. The number is on your screen. Let us know where you're watching us from and what your name is. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire.
Hello?
Hello, good evening, sir. Where are you watching us from and what your name is, please?
My name is Felix. I'm watching you from Chunga.
Yes,
in
sir.
Lusaka. Yeah, allow me to use local language so that I can express myself.
Please, feel free.
Okay.
Ndifewino Barishani Mkwaiba Felix.
My name is Fewino. Bamakwena ngapindu bonse baliranda mulero ndora Fewino sana. Icho ningamiromba kuchako bwati mukoseze kaidi muri lende wali bwakosa. Ero chindecho ndefo kushako kulingana na bakateka beso abalipo. Kuri muri constitution ya Zambia. Mwale mbwashani pako bati bafume kula kunkanda kuntu balekara kula ku state house. Because in there under phenomenal drive, sometimes I do drive with the road yaku transi connecting ya Newcastle. Sometimes could be a covered now chero because I'm not listening about that. So pretty much in until back to Shani, Bapite, Mamma. So she went a Kiala and the Shani Party constitutional to a party president there's what it's very pasana. So she went. Checks and balances kuma opposition and wale offering in terms of when we talk of wama commodities now expensive like today I went to buy meal I bought it at 150 kwacha but when PF was in power it was around the chari kuma 115 kwacha kero twale so shishi wenga politician ya washan so wamamtu ofusana. All
right, thank you so much, Felix, for coming through. All the way right here in Lusaka, and Dola was the feathers we went actually with the calls that we just set of calls that we just speak. So thank you so much for coming through to the program tonight. A number of comments have been made, Madam Kateka, on the issues that you had. All right, Director says we have another one before we can get to your comments. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Where are you watching us from and what your name is? Mkwine, Mobana Nishina. Hello? Mkwine, Timwa Lancha Kosa Pano, Nota to them for a bit too low.
Mulishani wa mayo.
Ndifewino Katwishwe na Mkwai.
Ndifewino kwa. Kulingana na comments yeo na alazika na mwachiranga. Sindina mulanda wino sindita mulanda wino. Ito nalandire shiowe tamulandire wino. Inoshita mulinge mwachana appreciate. Nokutotela nokukama panchi. Mulanda wa HH efe wachita. Masikula. Nanguturela ndati kandarizmu. Okay, yakutwishika. Mulanda wa kutati. that time wamayo ino songo tamuri apo yo ino space niyo na abatoba namushwa so mulingire mule shira tikwena uyu navomba mulingire mule tata kona simo ekulanda timule sape kondemu byonse so bali aye ne maisha zimwalandira awe kitega chanda tumo tusuma tumo mulingire mule tata aweketa pokale wale mule twale chula capitalism yali very bad in the west yale nunca no kununca onse mema opposition bonse mwe yale biufapo inombali zetu mbele mwatokoloka bampela anaika bampela democracy ati mwelanda ko nomba imenomba namuya very far ichi wetu mweto mtonkai wetu ngati mairoka the general election I don't know atotrangu.
All right, thank you very much all the way from Chingola. A very interesting comment coming through there. So we have 4 callers giving us a number of comments. You can please go ahead and react to some of the comments that have come through. We had 2 Peters, one from Ndola, one from Lusaka, that came through earlier.
And saying more or less the same thing. They are Zambians. These people expressing themselves as Zambians, just as the man from Chingola is a Zambian. And these people are not opposition, they are just ordinary people. And they are saying they are not happy with Kadarism. And that's why the PF were removed. In part, I'm answering the Chingola gentleman. Peter from Matero is saying, you are seeing these cadres on the ground. Even though at the top they are saying there's no Kadarism, it's actually there. And for me, because I'm an opposition leader, I do know that they are there because our members come to make that report. Felix from Chunga is encouraging, in fact, the 2 Peters and the Felix is encouraging us to be strong. And he's saying that the party in government, they lied a lot before coming. I think that has been pretty evident because we have seen that what they said and what they are doing or what is happening is not quite the same thing. You know, he's talking about the rising cost of living. It's true, things have gone up. I think I referred to that when we were doing our media briefing that the prices of commodities have gone up. The cost of living is extremely, extremely high. When you compare what we had and what we have now, things have gone up. You know, fuel has gone up, meal has gone up, and so on and so forth. So that is what is happening. The gentleman in Chingola, I didn't catch his name, and he's saying that HH has done a lot. If
when it comes to dealing with cadre.
No, he just says he's done a lot and we should be grateful. If it was in the PF days, I wouldn't even be sitting here. Here's what we keep telling the UPND supporters. When you do what is supposed to happen, don't think that we should stand on the rooftops and clap. That is what you are supposed to do. Whether it's HH or anybody else, don't compare yourselves to PF because PF, they had set the bar very low. If you are comparing yourselves to PF, then it means you can just be a little bit above PF and expect us to be clapping. The reason we give these checks and balances is because we are comparing UPND to UPND. You understand? UPND, compare it to what it should be, not what it is. Don't compare UPND and PF and say, oh, we are doing well. Because PF were not doing well. If you compare UPND to what they said, then that is a good comparison. if you see what I mean. So, Mukwayi Mweba Kuchingola, what I would like to say to you is, have things improved in terms of cadreism? It would appear they have. However, there's not much difference that we are seeing if cadres are going to go into people's offices and beat someone up. You remember that lady who was harassed by the PF cadres at Ministry of something. She wasn't beaten up. Tabamu mine, and yet those people were arrested. These ones, they went in there and they beat her up. She was screaming like a child. And they were not arrested until the president says, arrest them. What's that?
All right. We seem to have another person on the line. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire. All right, we seem to have lost that particular call. Please do call us in. The number is right on your screen. Let us know where you're watching us from and what your comment is on tonight's topic of discussion, the state of the nation. My guest is Madam Chala Kateka. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire. Hello, good evening. Kindly turn the volume on the... Wow, we seem to have lost that particular one as well. The number is on your screen. Let us know where you're watching us from and what your comment is and contribution as well. Now, all right, before we get to the questions, we seem to have another person on the line. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire. Hello, good evening. I'm quite more Shibukeni. Hello.
Hello,
Kwisa mkwai. Kumpika banani shina. At banani shina. Okay. Timwa mwapitidisha mkulanda. Wow. Okay. Timwatch that continue.
Yeah.
All right. Someone all the way from PK. I couldn't quite catch your name though. You know, commending the new administration, saying things have improved. So please call us in and let us know where you're watching us from. Like I keep repeating myself, and of course what your name is. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Crossfire.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Where are you watching us from?
I'm calling from Eastern Province.
Okay. Mwandani Zina?
I'm Lukwesa.
Yes, Mr. Lukwesa.
Inquiry.
You can go ahead with your contribution, please, sir.
All right. Okay. I've been following the program, and I want to appreciate your... Sorry?
Hello?
Okay. I've been following the program, and I really appreciate Maiwa Nakateka. Anyway, I appreciate her contribution. I know she's trying to achieve something. Ukoresha pali party yabo babamo, bari foktu kubuilding image ya party yabo. If we have yalanga if suma ama fruits suma, so that we also entrust them with the leadership in 2026. But in the fact that I encourage, that's why when Christo, I know her very well. She's a Christian. She started very well. She talks about Christianity. I know what I'm talking about, and I really appreciate her for that. But building an image yisuma ngomwina Kristu, we should appreciate opportunity to appreciate. So tukano appreciate kamuna ndo kwati ba UPN who have been in power katishinga ni 5-6 months, and then if into favorista ko no, we know that Party if into friend of Zambia, whether economically or violence, you're in a trial under capitalism, you can't just come in today and expect capitalism kupapa ushkumowini. Our you know but tampo to exaggerate things. Change to take my encouragement here because I do appreciate the government, the checks and balances you are talking about. Sometimes you appreciate them. And then as you appreciate them, you make them easy to do more. But I know, most of the political, the opposition, what they are doing, like those who mobilize themselves, vocal. You look at them, most of they are just talking about appreciate it. You people, if you are explaining, but but I want you to understand that, if you appreciate ukoba chatting ifintu nashibako wino mitengo nashia pamungu but life yesu ya expect. So we appreciate the government here, the new born government, because we are seeing them at least peace. You can't develop ngatamudu mutende mucharo.
Okay, well, Lukwesa chiteko round up akashitaka sela.
So therefore I okoba at least place apamula basange fiba bamayobesu banakateka. Please, to appreciate it. No, that's very appreciate so that the owner would have an hour for that we not pay voter. In she should start super life for the election of at least Abarikonga, my own in the fund kunta she could turn 26.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All the way from Chipata. Director saying that was our last call. Can we just get one more caller and then we can call it a wrap? Is that okay? All right. Hello, good evening and welcome to CROSSFIRE. Hello, good evening and welcome to CROSSFIRE.
Thank you, good evening.
Yes, sir. Where are you watching us from and what is your name?
My name is Goodson, calling from Salazar.
Yes, Mr. Goodson. Go ahead.
Yeah. Very interesting. The program is very much interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, now I really appreciate Madam Sharateka. Yeah, because you see women to be in this situation.
I'm sorry, come again. What was that? You see women to be what?
Sorry?
Please repeat yourself. You said you see women to be...
We want men and women to be in the forefront in the running of the affairs of the government.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, now one thing which is there is we have still people who don't make the government. The European government has just come in power and we just have got 6 months. We have a lot of things which are improving. So we need Madam Kateka as a woman to at least appreciate what is going in the country. Previously, as we are talking now, Madam, there you are in that TV station. If it was in the previous government, even if you are saying the cadres are there, you would have been evicted sometimes back there. You wouldn't have spent even 30 or 15 minutes today. You would have been chased away. As you are condemning the president to say, no, the president is lying, is doing this. Yeah, as opposition, you have got that privilege of providing checks and balances. But somewhere we have to appreciate what the government is doing. I know it is just too early for them to fulfill the promise of the right during campaigns. The promise of free education. Free education was started. Free education. Arising people in the bus stations, those are the things of the party. So we need to appreciate some of these things.
All right.
To appreciate
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Goodson, for that call, you happen to be our last caller all the way from Solwezi. Now, of course, as we are coming to the dying minutes of our program, just your comment on some of those comments that were made by our callers. Interesting comments.
Absolutely. Balukwesa na ba Solwezi. Goodson, sorry, not ba Solwezi.
Sorry.
Ba Goodson. Thank you so much for your comments. If you have followed this program, I'm very sure you heard me say that at New Heritage Party, we offer objective checks and balances. So when we issue a statement, when the UPND government does well, we commend them. When they don't do well, we issue statements. And normally, we try to give guidance and say, have you considered looking at it this way? Now, when you are on a program like this and you are asked specific questions, you can only answer those specific questions. I'm not going to, she asks me this question, Njeku free education. It's not possible. You understand? They are leading questions, so you respond to those questions. So if those questions are on issues that where the UPND have not done well, I can't start talking about free education. It's not possible. Number two, when you say that the UPND has only been in power for 6 months, we know that when somebody is building a house, the first thing you look at is the foundation. They lay a foundation. And when you look, for those who know how to build, when you look at the foundation, you can tell and say, this foundation that has been laid, on which the building will be built on, is not good or it is good. That is where we make comments and say, this thing that you have done is not good. Because we know that the next thing after that thing, the building will not be okay. That's why we have to give early checks and balances. You must understand that. Because the UPND government have just come in and the decisions they are making now are foundational to the building that they are going to build on. And if we say, oh, let's wait until 2024 before we start giving those checks and balances, what sort of a Zambia are we going to have? Who's going to speak for the poor people in Zambia? When they start to make decisions that are causing people to have high prices, people are crying. People are crying. If you go into the compounds, people are crying. People don't know where to get money. They don't know what to do. Should we just sit and say, no, tule Tasha? No, we've got to speak on behalf of the people.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, as we come to the end of the program, ma'am, my question, and of course you can couple this up with your final remarks, is what steps are you going to take now? Of course, we saw also 7 of you come together and you did issue a number of concerns that you think are of national importance and that must be addressed by the head of state, among them, of course, some of the conduct by some of his members and whatnot. What happens if the head of state does not act on some of those issues you brought out?
You see, the head of state, when we speak, it's entirely up to him as to whether he takes the advice or not. It's entirely up to him. It's simply advice. That's all we do, is we talk and we say, have you considered this? Can you do that? That one was not good, that was good. And what he does with that information is up to him. And ultimately, he'll be judged not just by the 7, but by the Zambian people and say, no, but they brought up this point. So he has to make that decision. We will continue to talk. We will continue to talk until 2026. We will not stop talking. Somebody needs to talk on behalf of the Zambians. There are many people, many Zambians who don't have a voice. They don't have a voice and they need somebody to speak on their behalf. Some of the things we say, it's because we have observed ourselves. Some of the things we say is because someone said, look, I really don't agree with this. Can you speak on my behalf? So when you see an opposition leader, don't think the opposition leader just sits there and starts to condemn the government of the day. There are people behind them. Some of them are not even in our parties. They just send you a message and say, please talk about this. So it's entirely up to the head of state with what he does, with what the opposition bring to the table.
All right.
Yeah.
Your final remarks.
So as Zambians, I think we need to realize that we've only got one nation. So whether you are UPND or not UPND, I think the time has come for us, whether you are PF or not PF, whether you're a New Heritage, this partisan politics that we are practicing is actually destroying us. It has created enmity between people in families, tribalism, divided along party lines. We must realize that we've only got one nation called Zambia. And what should be important is the Zambian agenda. As a people, as Zambian people, we need to start building up our nation rather than being disunited and not pulling together in the same direction to make sure that our country gets to where it ought to be. And we have to ask ourselves, what sort of a heritage are we going to leave our children and our children's children? Should we continue in this poverty because of the politics that we are practicing at the moment? Or can we somehow unite and start to build this nation together? So if, let's say, you belong to UPND and UPND does something wrong, should you be clapping for them simply because you are in UPND? Can you not say, you know what, yes, I'm UPND, but apa, tualambwaza. You know what I mean? I think the time has come for all of us to put Zambia first and not our parties first. We are first and foremost Zambians, then we belong to the parties that we belong. And we belong to the different parties because we believe these are the parties that will get us to become that Zambian entity that we are looking to build.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for coming.
Thanks a lot.
Through. On that particular note, we come to the end of this week's edition of Crossfire. Many thanks to all of you that came through, of course, via our phone lines and also on our social media platform, of course, giving us your comments and contributions on tonight's topic of discussion. Catch us next week, same time, same place, as we bring to you yet another interesting topic of discussion. Good night and stay blessed.